Hey, what's going on, everybody? In this video, we are looking at MLB opening day picks for Draftkings and Fanduel. It is that time. It is starting tomorrow, so gonna go ahead and make the video today. I will be having videos out for MLB almost every day that I can, so make sure you subscribe if you are planning on playing MLB every day. It's 7 long months of it, so if you're not gonna have time to research or anything like that, you can check out the videos. Check out the website if you want to join us for baseball. Passes are still on sale until tomorrow, and Twitter for updates. I'll post prize pick stuff, so I might post like prize picks videos from every now and then. I'll have some more free time in a month or so once I graduate, but I'm looking forward to it. Let's go ahead and get started. The first thing, if you play baseball, is you're going to be wanting to look at this Fantasy Labs lineup. It makes everything a little bit easier seeing all the projected lineups on one screen. You just go to the website, Fantasy Labs, MLB, scroll down to lineups here, and it just makes everything easier. You'll get the official starting lineups and everything once they get released. This MLB opening day starting on DraftKings, at least it's 4 o'clock. The FanDuel has some of the 1 o'clock games, but first thing you're going to look at, no Minnesota game. Postponed snow in April for Minnesota, so that is postponed. We have, it initially says Scherzer here, but he's not going to be playing. He said he's going to be looking to start the second game against his former team. So they're starting, like Tyler McGill, I believe, is starting for the Mets. So that's something to note. But we can see these projected run totals. You can see the projected lineup. So for opening day, you're looking at some of these teams that I want to focus on. I think the Cardinals against Brubaker makes some sense. You have some good value if you wanted to. In these first couple of weeks, especially with the shortened spring training, you're not going to see some of these starters go very deep into the games in the first and second starts. You might see like 70 pitches, 80 pitches. So we're not going to get the 100, 105 pitches that we normally get, midway throughout the season and for most of the year. So in the first couple of weeks, I like to focus on getting some of these expensive bats and not really focus on paying up for 2 starting pitchers. But yeah, Max Fried going up against this Cincinnati Reds team. This Reds team is not shorthanded, but they lost some of their best hitters. Castellanos is now a Philly, so this lineup is looking very lefty heavy for a team facing Max Fried, and there's a lot of strikeouts in this lineup. You're looking at Naquin, Votto, Moran, Moustakas, so they're looking at 4 or 5 left-handed hitters going up against Fried. I definitely like looking at Fried as one option, and then I like looking at Yu Darvish against this poor Arizona Diamondbacks team. Darvish struggled in his first year with the Padres, but I think he can bounce back. Especially looking at this lineup, nobody really is that scary. You have some decent hitters in here with Ketel Marte is their best hitter and one of the ones that can make a big jump this year. But on the DraftKings pricing, Darvish is your most expensive guy because we don't have the 1 o'clock games. I'll plug in Darvish as my one guy. I think Fried makes sense as well if you wanted to play him. But Darvish typically gives you some more strikeout upside, even though he had a down year last year. He still racked up 199 strikeouts. Fried wasn't that far off with 187 in 193 innings, but we'll see how many innings Yu Darvish actually pitched last year. I know believe he missed some starts, so yeah, 199 in just 166 innings. So it gives you a lot more strikeout upside, especially if a lot of these guys are not going to go very deep into games. You might as well get the guys that can strike a lot of people out. Shane Bieber going up against this Royals team was kind of surprised. He's not been great against the Royals. They faced him a lot because they see him so many times throughout the year. But the wind might be playing a factor. They have a 4.3 total. So I'm going to rather get to Darvish. And I think the second guy that you can look to is, if you wanted to play both guys above 9K, that's definitely fine. But there's one guy that I kind of like. He's the cheapest guy out of the bunch, and that's Zach Greinke. Going up against this Cleveland Guardians team, new name, so they're no longer the Cleveland Indians. Cleveland Guardians, Greinke's not great with the strikeouts or anything like that, but I think he should just be able to kind of cruise, get you 15, maybe 15 plus fantasy points is what you're looking for at this price tag. They have a 4.4 total. It's not anything crazy. I mean, he has just super cheap, so you can pay up for some of these expensive bats, which is kind of what I want to do. And this lineup is not scary at all. You get Zimmer, Hedges, Jimenez, no power at the bottom of the order. We have Kwan. Also, don't really know much about him, but don't expect him to be much of a factor until he gets some of his feet wet. Only the guy that you're scared about in this lineup is Franmil Reyes and Jose Ramirez. That's it. I'm not worried about Straw. He's only good against lefties. So I think Greinke should be able to have success and at least get you some fantasy points. probably outscore some of these other guys here like Corbin, Bumgarner, and Ohtani. It looks good, but not the easiest matchup, and you never know how many minutes or how many pitches he's going to throw in his first couple of starts. But going with these two pitchers leaves us with about 5,000 left for the bats, which is great. At at catcher, we have Salvador Perez at $5,100. He's coming off one of the best years a catcher has ever had, hitting 48 bombs last year, and a lot of that was at home, where it's not the easiest park to hit in. Going up against Shane Bieber, not an easy matchup, but if you wanted to do that, pay up for him, that's fine. I'd rather go with some of these cheaper guys in the 3K range. You have Stevenson, even though it's against a lefty, he just gives you so much raw power. I think you can go to, maybe you can look to Nola, $3,100. He had a kind of a down year for the Padres, but he's good against left-handed pitching. And Bumgarner's garbage against righties, so you can look to Nola. And then I think you might be able to look to like Max Stassi against a lefty. He gives you some power. He just signed an extension with the Angels, so you should be looking at a lot of starts behind the plate. At first base, we have Matt Olson going up against Tyler Mahle. Mahle is garbage against lefties. You can look at his stats if you wanted to. The Matt Olson has already been doing so much damage since he was in the league, and that was playing in Oakland in that tough park. And now he's going up against Tyler Mahle, much better hitting environment in Atlanta. It's still not one of the better ones, but it's much, much better than the Coliseum. Mahle, his numbers, not good against lefties. Last year, he was actually good against lefties somehow, but going back over his entire career sample size, 2020, he gave up a 341 slugging. 2020 was also a shortened year. 2019, a 530 slugging. 2018, 576 slugging. His career numbers, giving up a 245 average, 434 slugging against lefties, and some of the advanced numbers are not very appealing at all. 4.6 xFIP, and he's gotten a little bit lucky as well. 4.49 walks. So I think you can look to Matt Olson as a pay-up first base option here. Other options would be Paul Goldschmidt. You can look to Pete Alonso against a lefty and Patrick Corbin. Alonso should be able to have success against a lefty, especially one that has been struggling over the last couple of years. And then if you wanted to go with the value option here, I'd rather pay up at first base because we got some value options at like second base and some of these other spots. But Luke Voit would be the guy that I would look at. $3,500 for a guy facing off against Bumgarner. Should be able to maybe take him deep. At second base, Jose Altuve, 61 against Ohtani, and not going to be looking to break the bank here. I think you can go with some value at the position. If you're not looking at like Whit Merrifield, it gives you a lot of stolen base upside. You have some guys in the 2K range. First guy I would look at is like Nick Senzel, $2,300. He's good against lefties, so even though it's not a good matchup against Max Fried, he's one of the few Reds I would look to just because he gets you that lefty-righty matchup. And if you look at his stats, they are pretty good against lefties. 271 average for his career. Not much of a sample size because he still hasn't played an everyday role for the Reds, but he should get that role this year. Only a 13.8% strikeout rate. So Nick Senzel is one option that you can look to if you wanted a value second base option. At third base, another spot that you can look to pay up for, and you got a lot of good options here. We have Ramirez. Wouldn't like to play a hitter against my pitcher, but if you're not playing Greinke, you can look to Jose Ramirez. You can look to Austin Riley. Gives you a lot of power against Mahle, even though he's a righty. But last couple of years, Malle's also given some power up to righties. But I would go with Manny Machado against Bumgarner. We can look to Machado anytime he's facing off against a lefty. Take a look at Machado's stats. They are awesome against lefties. And without Tatis for the first couple of months, you expect Machado to have to take on more of a offensive role and really try to drive some runs. So last year wasn't great against lefties, 246, but we can look to his long career as kind of a bigger sample. 2020 he had a 313 average, 5 home runs and just 64 at bats. 2019 did a ton of damage, 315 average. He had a 13 bombs and just 127 at bats. So that was good for like probably well over 200 ISO, 300 ISO, 370 ISO. Just looking at his career numbers, get a big sample. Average is 7 points higher The power number should be a lot higher as well. 209 ISO gives you 8 more WRC plus. Strikeouts are a little bit less. Slugging is a little bit higher. So he's good against both sides of the plate, but against lefties, against Bumgarner, a guy that he's seen extensively, think he can do some damage there. Other options at third base would be Escobar from the Mets if you wanted to stack them against Corbin. And at third base, another option, another position where I'm looking to pay up for. Second base, you can get to some value. Shortstop, you might be able to get to some value. Swanson is the most expensive guy at 52. My favorite guy is going to be Francisco Lindor, followed by Escobar, Mondesi just with the stolen base upside that he gives you, and then the position kind of dies off. So you're looking to pay up for some of these guys at shortstop. And in the outfield, Mike Trout, he's day-to-day, but Trout's another guy that just crushes lefties. He's day-to-day, but I expect him to be in the starting lineup. He's also going up against a guy that he has seen in the same division a good amount of time. Other pay-ups in the outfield, I'd rather get to Mike Trout than O'Neill. Not really looking at Kyle Tucker at 52, although he's good against righties, but Ohtani, I don't really like targeting against him. Starling Marte against a lefty, if you wanted to stack the Mets, he makes some sense. And then I'm looking at maybe Marcana, another guy that you can look to coming over from Oakland, another guy that's good against lefties. But the second guy I'll plug in is Eddie Rosario going up against Malley. We know Malley's not great against lefties, so might as well get the two lefty power hitters on the Braves with Matt Olson and Rosario. He was great for the Braves, helping them win the World Series. Last year, they acquired him from the Twins, and should be looking at mostly an everyday work. He should maybe sit against lefties, but against any sort of right-handed pitcher, he's going to be out there and should be batting near the top of the order, as we kind of see. So in terms of just the best stacks, the Braves have to be my favorite stack. Wind blowing out a bit at home, and you're getting a lot of these lefties that you can look to. Second stack would be the Padres against Bumgarner, the righties, looking at Machado, Voit, Will Myers. Those guys look appealing. And the other stack that you can look to, I think the Cardinals might be popular. I don't have too much interest there. Maybe go with some of these just power hitters or one-offs. But I might want to, if I wanted to be different, I could be looking to stack maybe the Mariners. Actually, sorry, that game is postponed. If that game was under good weather, that would be one to stack. But the Mets would be one I can look to. So with the Mets, the Braves, and the Padres are my top three stacks for the DraftKings side. These are 6 guys that you can plug in. And let's go ahead and talk about FanDuel. All right, on FanDuel, you have more options because you have some of these 1 o'clock games on here as well, and these like 2:20 games. So Corbin Burnes gives you a ton of strikeout upside going up against this Chicago Cubs team. You can look to switch over to FanDuel here. You have 9 games, but probably not going to have the Yankees, maybe with the rain, and the Cubs. You have the wind blowing out a little bit at Wrigley, which is always a concern, but do expect Corbin Burnes to be able to rack up some strikeouts against the Chicago Cubs. And then I'm looking at some of the same guys that I mentioned. Pitching-wise on DraftKings, like I don't mind saving 2K almost and getting down to Yu Darvish in a similarly good matchup. Another guy that gives you good strikeout upside. So Darvish would be my favorite just based on the price tag, and then I would look to Max Fried, Corbin Burnes, and maybe you can look to Shane Bieber as a GPP play. And I'm not looking to pay down at pitcher. Just you only get one option. We got some value at these other spots, so on FanDuel, at least, I'm looking to pay up for at least a guy above 8K or so. Catcher first base option, it's going to be Matt Olson as my favorite option at 37. You have Pete Alonso at 36. And then you're looking at some of these value options here. In the 2K range, we can look to Luke Voit. Maybe not Schwindel against Corbin Burnes, but he gave you so much power in his limited time with the Cubs last year. We'll see if he can carry that over this year, but Voit would be the guy I'd look to at 25. Second base, I like getting a Colton Wong. You should be looking at, I think Kyle Hendricks might be starting for the Cubs. We'll see who's starting for the Cubs. They don't even know who's starting, but whoever it is starting, I'd rather go with the guy that's batting leadoff. Colton Wong should be a righty, I believe, for the Cubs. 26 for him looks like a good value. I'm not really looking to pay up for Altuve. I'd rather get up to the Albies if I wanted to do a pay up here. And then other options would be Maybe you can go all the way down to like Nick Senzel again, just facing off against a lefty, batting in the middle of the lineup at $2,100. Third base, Machado, look to get to him on both sides, just like him when he's ever facing off against a lefty. Other options are Austin Riley with the power that he gives you, maybe Alex Bregman, and another position that I'm kind of looking to pay up because I don't have too many good options value-wise. Shortstop, you don't have too many other good options either. A lot of these top guys are postponed. So Lindor is your favorite, is my favorite option. Swanson looks better, but on DraftKings he's too expensive, I'd say. And if Witt Jr. is batting second, you can play him if you wanted to. And that's it. There's not too many good options here. And the outfield, looking to get to Mike Trout on both sides. I mean, he might as well if he's batting. He's going to be batting right in the heart of the lineup against a lefty. Gives you a ton of power there. And then Rosario against a righty, lefty-righty matchup. Rosario is also very good against right-handed pitching with the power that it gives you. And he could be batting first or second in the lineup, depending on if this projected lineup is correct. Other ways that you can look to fill out your outfield spot in the 3K range, Marcell Ozuna if you're doing a Braves stack. We have Mark Canha if you're doing a Mets stack. Will Myers for your Padres stack here. So a lot of good options that are cheap. And then that's basically it. So another 5 options that you can plug in and gives you 5 left. That's it for the video. Thank you for watching. Best of luck opening day. Hope you guys make some money. You can check out all the socials and stuff that I have to offer down in the description. And I'll see you all next time.